Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to talk about how to map ancient Egypt starting from step 4 of the Mapping Ancient Egypt directions. So you'll have to see the other videos for steps 1, 2, and 3. As you can see, my outline, the yellow paper, has some of the labels in step 2 after I outlined where the land and water borders were from step 1. I didn't finish all of my labels here, but you'll have to find where the rest of these things are to include on your map. Step 3 is to include the cities, Memphis, Giza, and Thebes. Don't forget to include all 3, so along the way I will go through and write down where each of these places are. When you get to step 4 is to mark the cataracts or the waterfalls along the Nile River. There are 6 of them, and you're going to draw a waterfall symbol for each one in the Nile River. I'm sending you this page from a textbook called Our World, and this page has a map of the 6 cataracts in the Nile River. This book shows first cataract, second cataract, and they're named. Yours do not have to be named, but they do need to include a symbol. The book chose to use a dash as the symbol for the cataract, and you can see that up here where it says the legend has a dash for cataracts. You can use the same symbol. Some people choose to use a triangle or a square or a squiggly line, as long as you include what the symbol means in your legend. So I would compare this map to the map that I have of the Nile River, and I would go through and try to mark best I can where I think those cataracts are. And I'd go right down through the Nile River. I have a spot here that I'm going to put what my symbol is. This is my key. Step 5, after I finish the cataracts, is to color code the Old, Middle, and New Kingdoms. So also in my legend, I'm going to have 3 colors for the Old, Middle, and New Kingdoms. Now, that one I'm not sending you a map. I want you to find your own map. So if you look for a map of the Old, Middle, and New Kingdoms of Egypt, I'm going to include map in the search. They're going to come up with lots of different examples. I like to use this one as a what not to do, because they decided to put the 3 things in their key 3 shades of green. And that's very hard for people to decipher if you're coloring it yourself. This map comes up blurry. You'll see this big purple area at the top. This one is a good map to use if you can get past the little blurriness. It tells you in the key that the purple section is old, middle section, the Middle Kingdom, is this orange, and the extent of the New Kingdom is this gold and yellow, and you'll see there's a little bit more of that up by the Mediterranean Sea. So that one's a good one to use. This one is also a good one to use. It's not quite as wide as the first one that I showed you. This one really sticks to the area around the Nile River because that's where most of the people lived. There were few people who lived out in the desert area because the resources were by the Nile River. And it has a nice, very nice key, and the 3 kingdoms are color-coded. This is another version which has a nice key and the 3 colors that represent Old, Middle, and New Kingdom. So you can use whichever one you'd like to represent your Old, Middle, and New Kingdoms when you are ready to start coloring. On my map, I might start by outlining in pencil where these three kingdoms are, and then color them in and include here what the three colors that I chose represent. You can use the same colors as the maps you find online, or you can choose your own. Just remember not to use blue because all of your water areas, like your seas, are going to be blue. Step 6, make sure you have a compass rose that could either be in the legend if your box is big enough or right off to the side. Make sure you have everything you need, any symbols you included. If you use a dot for cities, you might want to include that dot in your symbols in part of your legend. And finally, step 7 is to include an arrow or several arrows that show the direction the water flows in the Nile River. That might be just as simple as putting a few arrows along the way to show that the water in the Nile River flows north. The last 3 steps are finish coloring your map. So any spaces that you haven't colored yet, water is going to be blue. Any land areas that you haven't colored yet, use a color that you didn't already use as one of the kingdoms. Maybe you have a tan or a light brown color to include. And when you are finished, there's going to be no white space left on your map. Your legend that you've boxed off, if there's white space in there, that's okay. But your whole map is going to be colored and show a finished product.